I created the story engine because I've met so many writers who are walking around with just the most amazing story ideas in their heads, and for whatever reason they couldn't get them down on paper. I wanted to design a deck of cards that would let writers create their own writing prompts in their own style. Using the story engine deck, you can create new character concepts, plot threads. If you play Dungeons & Dragons, you can use it to create new NPCs, new settings, new magic items. I really recommend you check out storyenginedeck.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new year, and as is the best way to see in a new year in this wonderful world of adventure, we are, of course, going to a convention. Welcome specifically, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest iteration of DungeonCon, a celebration of all things to do with dungeons. I know what you're thinking. Dungeons, they're just ancient ruins. But have you thought about who maintains them? Have you thought about who keeps the razors sharp and the gases truly toxic in these places? Have you thought about just why the kobolds stay in this unrelenting hostile landscape? No. And DungeonCon is here to answer this question, with its myriad of shops, celebrations, panels, with such wonderful titles as Bending Genre, Is It a Dungeon or Is It a Jail? And of course, demonstrations of the latest innovations in dungeon technology. And that's actually where we find ourselves right now. We find ourselves outside the wondrous workshop of traps that has been installed within the old agricultural hall in which this convention is now happening. And as we look around, there's quite a few people gathered here to see one of Traps' latest inventions. Who is this? There's what looks like a dwarven granny who kind of stood in full plate armour outside Traps. Who is this?
Yes, there is a dwarven granny. Her name is Mary Berry. Merry. She can also spell better than me. She looks rather grumpy. She's holding her knitting needles in one hand and all her weapons on her back. And she's not entirely sure why she's looking at traps, but that is where she is. Maybe it's one of the least busy areas. She finds it very traumatic being around large groups of people because it reminds her of when she used to look after her grandchildren.
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't be traumatised by that experience? Speaking of trauma, so quite close to the shoulder of Mary Berry is a very pale-looking creature in a piratical garb. Who is this?
That's Count Alucard de Nosferatu, famed vampire pirate, who sadly, after buying a cruise ship, which then he didn't like the rules, so he changed all the rules, and then his vampire pirate friends sort of left him alone to run it, and he kind of just did some radical remodeling with a reef, and people did die. That's true, but he's an innovator, and you've got to keep up with him. It's not his fault if you're not quick enough to get to the lifeboat before he does. But he's a little bit sort of cash poor at the moment, and was hoping someone here would have a job.
I mean, DungeonCon is the best place to go looking for all the new innovative ways to kill someone dynamically, hopefully for money. Stood next to this pale piratical figure is a tall tiefling with a distinctly unimpressed expression, I think you could probably say. Who is this?
This is Kimya Jashin. She is, as you say, a tiefling, which is to say that there is demon blood in her ancestry somewhere. But in Kimya's case, it's a long, long way back, and somewhere along the way, she lost her wings. She's got the horn, she's got the tail. She doesn't have the wings. She has a serious case of wing envy. She also has sitting on her shoulder a tiny imp that looks suspiciously like a miniaturized version of her with those wings added on. And like Count Alucard, she is willing to do anything for money. She doesn't have much of a conscience. In fact, she's quite keen to show that she's in touch with her demonic heritage. She wants to be as badass as she possibly can.
Lovely. Last but not least, I hesitate to use the word human. Human adjacent? What is this figure in a trench coat rounding off our little group?
This is Stave. Stave the human. Stave's a good human name, isn't it? He has a beard and a nose and glasses and eyes in the glasses and a big wizard hat. And none of these things disguise the fact that he is patently a 6.5 foot tall cockroach.
And this is part of the honourable crowd that has gathered to see the latest innovation in traps. And indeed, as you stand there waiting to see what the Dungeons Guild has yet to offer, the doors begin to pull back as Peridot, the little halfling in charge of this operation, stands in front of you and declares, "Ladies and gentlemen, people, creatures, friends, I'm so excited to bring you today my latest demonstration of not just the circular saw that comes out of the room when it cuts your head off when you step on the wrong plate, the classic, but the new innovation, the circular saw that comes out, cuts your head off, and then folds neatly back into the walls with no need for extraneous space that people might crawl through or these cheats with stone shake might cast to get to. It folds perfectly back in the neatest little folding you've ever seen. You will waste no more space in your dungeon on having to contain the mechanisms for your circular saw decapitating mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, and the doors pull back and you see beyond a pre-prepared room that has clearly been prefabbed into this space, and in the middle of it you see, well, a severed head and the other half of it not attached. There is a decapitated body in traps. And don't get me wrong, maybe this is part of the feature, but by the way Peridot just goes you have a sinking feeling that this is in fact not meant to be the case.
I will applaud politely with all four hands.
Can,
5 other people join in because
Can
they're
we
that
ask Peridot
socially
if he
persuadable.
knows?
Pardon, Kimia?
Can we ask Peridot if he knows the gentleman to whom this this head once belonged?
Oh my word! Oh my word! Oh no! It's Pearl! It's Pearl! It's Bettina upon Pearl! This is not supposed to be happening! Not in my dungeon! Traps! I don't know how this happened!
Can Alucard just very politely ask if it's possible he could leave? Because when they said Dungeon Con, he had something very different in mind. This looks quite unpleasant, to be honest with you. And not in the fun way either.
Alucard can leave, but if Alucard leaves, there is no refund on the 25 gold piece dinner buffet course that Alucard's ticket already bought access to. Let alone a refund on the 7 gold piece wines from the wine tent in the corner.
Oh, what's the wine tent that swayed me? I'll stay.
Mary Berry can see Alucard thinking of leaving and very staunchly says that nobody is going to leave because everybody is under suspicion of a murder or an accident.
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it being an accident because the safety mechanisms, I checked them myself. But if it's a murder, who could possibly have murdered Pearl?
Who is
Pearl? Who is this Pearl of whom you speak?
Some of you have heard of Bettina upon Pearl. Bettina upon Pearl is quite a traditionalist dungeon designer, one of the kind of quite famous ones. And they're most known as kind of traditionalists. They like their zombie hordes, they like their deep caves, and they are in fact a contender for this year's Golden Key, the prize for the greatest dungeon designer of the year. And so the fact that their decapitated body is now sitting in the middle of Traps' latest exhibition is controversial, to say the least.
Mary's point of order to Peridot is if there is a competition for the best dungeon designer, there must be some kind of dungeon regulator who's in charge of health and safety. Has this particular beheading instrument been checked by the regulator or only by Peridot?
Thankfully, as you say these words, you feel a presence, a literal warmth emerges next to you, a glowing warmth from what you can only assume is a fire ganassi. As his voice goes, "I am very glad that you ask this. My name is Kwan. I am the Health and Safety Officer for the Association of Dungeon Designers, and I am appalled by this current situation. I can testify that I myself have checked the safety mechanisms on this trap, and can only conclude that what we are witnessing is a murder."
Before I was a pirate, I lived in a little village called St. Mary Mead, where they did a lot of brewing and did a lot of knitting too. And I remember there was a little old lady, Miss Murple, down the road, and she used to enjoy making guillotines and was found beheaded. And everyone presumed it was the guillotine. And it actually turned out it was me. She was awful with a sword. Do we know it's the machine that actually did behead Pearl. Can we just check?
Do you want to have a
machine
quick
for
look
blood?
at the body? Do you want to have a quick poke and examine the body?
Can I do an
and I'd like someone
investigation
else-
check?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to do me.
Before we check the body, could we close the door? Can we just make sure nobody else comes in or leaves?
Yeah, I think Corn is like you, and
Corn
even the odd human one. You will investigate and you will solve this. And I think is going to close the door to give some dignity to our poor decapitated Pearl. So yeah, you can close the door. Everyone who wants to investigate the body, roll me intelligence investigation, please.
May I instead investigate the point in the wall where the blade has presumably returned to?
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's a really good idea because I reckon Adrian could live without his head. Stave could live without his head for quite a long time.
Benefit of the species. May actually get extra bonuses to certain skills.
Mary rolled a 9, so she looks at the blade and goes, "Yes, that's sharp."
How many do I?
23.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, Nosferatu, I'm going to roll a d20 for you.
Okay.
If you have any ticks in your intelligence investigation, it's not going to make a difference because I just rolled a natural 1.
That's how my luck's been going with the whole ships and everything.
Kimia, what did you roll?
17.
Okay. Here is what you observe. Count Nosferatu. There's a body. And the blood is still warm. It's still so very warm. I leave you to wonder what happens next. Mary, there's a body. It's that head has definitely been cut off. It's not the neatest cut you've ever seen. Like it's quite jagged around the edges. It looks like it took a bit of sawing more than your perfect clean quality you would expect from traps. But that head, it be gone. Kimia, not only is the head gone, but if you want, you can have a rifle through the pockets. There may be things. Stave, the blades in the wall they're so sharp that you don't even need to touch them. Your fingers go near. Say fingers. Your limbs go near. And it's like you can feel the air itself being cut just by the proximity. But also, there's no sign of blood. If you kind of peek the little crack through which there's merged, you can't see or even smell the aroma of blood emerging from these.
I wish to make an accusation.
Kimia first. What did you want?
I'll have a ferret through those pockets, if I may.
Lovely stuff.
With respect.
Yeah, so you find a couple of things. You'll find, oh dear, I'm dropping all my notes. You find a couple of invoices. In red. Never a good sign for an invoice. And kind of scrawled across the top, certainly at least on one of them, a kind of capital letter note, the gist of which is, "We're coming for you." Capital letters. From the Guild of Artificers. So 2 invoices, one from Miller's Monsters and one from the Guild of Artificers, with every sign they have not, in fact, been paid. You also find another note, kind of handwritten, that just says, "Lavender Axe, tonight, traps. Stave, would you like to make an accusation?
Yes. And I should note at this point, Stave's voice is a kind of buzzing sound plainly coming from an organ somewhere in his chest, but is being heard in your heads in your native language telepathically. Just like humans do. It is very plain what has happened here. While the trap mechanism was being explained, the obvious flaw in the mechanism was revealed. Once the blade has cut someone's head off, where does the cleaning happen? Why does it not become wedged in the slot with the dried of blood? Hence, this individual inspecting the trap was murdered by the trap operator to conceal this flaw in the design.
It's a lovely theory.
I have swapped my wizard hat for a deerstalker.
But I'd like to recount another thing that happened in St. Mary Mead. Unfortunately, I can't, because after I killed the old lady, they drummed me out of the village. But if anyone's got any stain remover, that'd be really good because I've got weird red stains on my jacket and it's quite expensive.
Did Peridot hear Stave's accusation? Did the halfling owner of Traps hear the accusation?
I would assume I'm only broadcasting to the people I'm specifically talking to with the telepathy. I don't think it's remotely covered in the species description of how it works. So up to you.
You mean human?
Very dramatically announce that I don't believe she was killed by the machine and that it's my idea.
It was your idea to kill her?
No, that I don't think the machine killed her, and that it's my idea that I don't think the machine killed her because I'm an excellent detective.
You're welcome to take the heat for this one.
I don't think that Mary, at her height of about 4 foot, can control you, so you're free.
Quorn, the health and safety officer, just stood looking at all of you, going, I do not understand. You are supposed to be solving this mystery. What are you doing? Who killed her? You must know immediately. This is how it works.
We're talking, we're working on it. I'm going to ask Stave, what would Peridot's motive be? Why would he do it?
He is concealing the flaw in the machine so he may sell more traps to dungeon building executives.
She goes over to the giant cockroach that's definitely a man, and she says, "Oh, Ducky, I think you've got this one wrong. That was a stupid idea, wasn't it? It's very clear that the machine hasn't killed anybody. Isn't that right?"
Yes, the machine inventor has killed them.
No, because nobody cares if machines are clean in dungeons. The blood adds to the atmosphere. People like a bit of atmosphere in a dungeon. Isn't that right, Peridot?
I do offer bespoke blood splatters that will stay brightly scarlet for a duration of up to 600 years, yes.
And machines that go off quite randomly, that's kind of a plus, to be honest with you.
No, that would be a disastrous design flaw. The whole point of a dungeon is the sense of achievement, of conquest. You just can't walk into a room and see the spike trap. You have to discover the spike trap. The whole point is the penetration. As you are all contemplating this crime, Quorn, the fire health and safety officer, sidles up to Kimia and goes, "Oh, what did you find in the pockets?"
A few old invoices, actually quite recent invoices and quite urgent. Do you know whether Bettina was being pursued by debt collectors of any kind?
Oh, all the time. All the time. The dungeons that Bettina designed were just... Well, I do not want to say that they were boring, but they were very easy to solve. They were very easy to get to the end of. Do you know how many elven boots you have to put at the end of a dungeon to reward your adventurers? Otherwise, they do not keep coming back, and what is the point of art no one sees? Constantly having to restock and restock and restock. A dungeon should at the bare minimum kill some of your adventurers, so you can loot the bodies and take their gold to fund the enterprise, but... Bettina upon Pearls did not seem to understand this. Bettina just thought that people should have a nice time. Always in trouble. No way to run a business.
So I suppose we can rule out professional jealousy as a motive then, but possibly the debt collectors caught up with her.
I mean, it must be said that there is a lot of professional jealousy in this business, but also there is a lot of debt. It is a difficult business to manage economically.
Her head was cut off, right? Not torn off.
Mary Berry, you're pretty sure that it was cut, but not in a neat way.
No, very bad job. Very bad job. I wouldn't rate this particularly well.
Can we check to see if she's been chewed on at all? Or nibbled?
I deny everything.
Apart from the ones around the neck.
Gonna roll that investigation. There is no sign that this body has been chewed on. Not yet, at least. Who knows what will happen after hours.
I was just
in that case... Sorry.
If I was Millie's monsters, I'd probably send a monster after my debts. And there doesn't seem to be any sign of monstering of this body. That's a technical term we like to use as pirates when we send monsters onto other ships.
Well, then we should talk to the Guild of Artificers. Where might we find them here?
Oh, they have a stand in the main hall. Everyone self-respecting has a little stand. They give out free quills, you know. It's very easy to find. Follow the map that you were given when you entered. It is very easy.
Ah, yes, the map. The map we were given when we entered. That map.
With your goodie bag, with the lanyard, and the kind of the little welcome booklets. Yes, of course, yes. You do all have welcome bags and lanyards. Whether you can physically wear the lanyards is a different conversation, but you do have goodie bags and lanyards.
As a pirate, I'm obviously an extremely proficient navigator. So I'm gonna get out the map, and I'm gonna call for a bosun to come and navigate for me.
Roll a d6.
6.
A bosun appears. I heard your whistle, sir. Where do you wish to go? I am here to navigate you through this convention.
We'd like to go to the artificer's stand, please, bosun.
Of course. Please, sir, line up astern and then proceed with me in a port direction. And off trots this bosun in a fine little hat with the stripy shirt. Off you trot behind this bosun at quite a pace, clipping through the convention, past all the stands, past all the shops and all the merch, and in very little time at all, you find yourself by a stand that is no real difference from anything else. The Guild of Artificers and Illusionists, they have a stand quite centrally positioned, quite close to kind of the beer area as well. Like, it's quite a good place to have got. And there's a little mill of people kind of negotiating, kind of going, oh, so, can you do us discount rates on your work? But you have arrived. The bosun goes, sir, yes, sir.
You can go now, bosun.
Yes, sir. Please whistle should you need any further assistance.
Yeah, have an extra tot of rum, son.
Yeah, you're here.
Right.
What to do?
Mary Berry, because she is a grumpy paladin, strides forward, shoving people out of her way, gets to the front of the stand and goes, we need to talk to someone about a murder. Now.
It's something about the way Mary Berry approaches that means the person who turns around, a halfling who is slightly familiar, actually, like someone you may have encountered in some place called Edinburgh a while back, turns slowly and with equal intensity, matches Mary Berry's gaze. A murder. Anyone I know?
Do you know Bettina von Pearl?
I know of them. Who are you?
Who am I?
That's a big question.
4 points of psychic damage, no.
She's quite old. You have to give her some time. After a strange pause, she says, I am Mary Berry, and I am a paladin. And on my search for justice, I want to solve this person's murder. They were murdered over at Traps. Perhaps you know something about it.
The halfling regarding you goes, all right. Paladin. Must be hard work being a paladin. All that justice. I knew Bettina upon Pearl. I knew Bettina upon Pearl. I know Traps. Reputable business. Never given me any trouble. Always pays on time. No problem for me. Half decent work. Not the best. Not the worst. Probably last you 400 years. Pearl never paid.
And you killed her because she didn't pay.
Aha, she paid with her life.
Ah!
Even if I was
Very
not
human
offended
joke.
at your not even insinuation. There was a very human joke, strange looking person with a nose. Even if I was not offended, how would my killing them get me paid?
It might send a message to other bad debtors.
With the Guild of Artificers, there's only two kind of debtors. Those who pay promptly, and those we don't work with again. Pearl was on the verge of being the last. The ones we don't work with again. But me killing wouldn't have helped me.
As you sent her invoices, you presumably know her address. Where does she live?
She moves around a lot. Right now, I believe she's staying in the hotel next door that all the convention guests are staying in, the Wither Knives. I don't know where she lives usually. Yeah, the halfling before you kind of stares back and goes, I don't know where Patina and Pompel usually lives, but right now, I know they're staying with most of the convention guests in the Wither Knives next door.
The Wither Knives.
We know that there wasn't much blood at the scene of the crime. It's possible that the body was, or the decapitation occurred somewhere else, and then she was brought to traps, and left there.
There wasn't much blood at all. It was very disappointing, I've got to tell you. If you've not eaten for a while and you're not got much money, that was a real letdown.
Shall we say
Kimia, you did find that note reading Lavender Axe, traps, midnight.
What time is it?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, the time when all good conventions really get underway.
What does Lavender Axe signify, or do we not know?
You do not at this time appear to know.
Right.
Does Mary Berry know about this letter?
Kimia, did you share?
I showed her around.
Excellent. She turns to the Hobbit and the halfling, and says, "What is a lavender axe?"
Sued.
Mary Berry, just roll me charisma intimidation, just to see how much or how little respect you're getting here. And
you should be getting significant respect as a grandmother, as a paladin, as a grandmother. But I'm not. Let me check. No, actually, it's not as bad as I thought. 9, 10, 14.
Oh,
I had lots of additions.
That does beat her 11. Fine. What was your question again? What do you want to know? What do you want to know? Slightly less belligerently, a bit like, You want to know?
What is lavender axe?
Oh, you haven't heard the Lavender Axe? Oh, clearly not going to any of the panels, are we? Just here for the beer and the socialisation, is it? Lavender Axe is the next dungeon of Starfall. It's her next big deal, the Lavender Axe. Some people say that it's a mocking piss take on Courage's Bramble Sword dungeon. You remember the spectacular that Courage did? But yeah, Starfall, Lavender Axe, next big dungeon. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone says it's the next big thing.
Who's Starfall, and where do we find them?
Oh, wow. You really are here for the drink and the socialisation, aren't you? Wow. Starfall...
No, I'm here for the ambience.
And the murder.
I'm so glad you rolled well on intimidation persuasion. Starfall is one of the nominees for the Golden Key. And I'll say this about Starfall. They pay their invoice on time. Starfall, Patina upon Pearl, and Courage were the 3 finalists for the Golden Key. Only one of them alive now, I hear. Not the one who paid. I mean, the one who didn't pay. So, mixed feelings about that. Mixed feelings.
So Courage is dead too?
Courage is alive, as far as I can tell. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's dead. Starfall, Courage, and Pearl. Pretentious names, but that's dungeon designers for you.
I've got to say, I hate post-ironic dungeons because I've been to one and we came out with more Dungeoneers than we went in with. And that's just wrong. I do not agree with it.
I'm just the craftsman. It's not my place to pass judgment on the artist. But I must admit, some of these postmodernist trends are a bit... And don't get me started on dungeon realism. Like, it's just a jail, isn't it?
Has there been another death recently? You said only one of the 3 is still alive. So
As far as I can tell, the only dead person, based on what you're telling me, is Pearl. As far as I can tell, Courage and Starfall, still alive. I might be wrong. Doesn't bother me either way.
Where can we find them?
Oh, this time, at the early hour of 11 a.m. at a convention, they're probably in the bar.
I was going to ask where the bar is, but can I transform into a cloud of bats?
Yes, I believe you have that power.
Yeah. I'm going to transform into a cloud of bats and find the bar and then come back and transform into me and tell everyone where it is.
Cool. Roll me that dice again.
Okay.
Some sort of most award for the most trivial use of a major ability.
4.
Okay. I'm gonna just multiply by 3 in my head. It takes you 12 minutes as a cloud of bats to find the bar and fly back, because of course bats very good at echolocation, not so good at beer location. In those 12 minutes, everyone is stood in the most awkward silence you have ever experienced in your lives. I don't know how you find that, depending on your various inclinations. I don't know how you cope with 12 minutes of the most awkward silence that's ever happened in your life.
Mary Berry starts knitting a noose.
Of a pamphlet from the Artificers Guild stand and pretends to read it.
I have a new investigation technique for when we question our next suspect. I will conjure a silent image of the body and severed head. We can say, do you recognize this person?
Nice.
Did they look like this? Or like this? And the head reattaches.
Amazing. And with
this
that
technique, we will surely find the murderer.
With that brilliant insight ready to go in your back pocket, the cloud of bats returns and has successfully discovered the bar.
I have, but it all looks very different down here compared to when you're flying around, and it's quite large and confusing, so I'm not entirely sure how to get to it. But
Why don't you call back your man with the funny hat?
I know a person.
The Count makes a little whistling noise and immediately, "Sir, yes, sir, I am the bosun of the convention. Somehow here, a long way from the sea, and I don't quite know why. Sir, yes, sir."
Can you take us to the bar, please, bosun?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. The bosun heads off an immediate trot. Hard starboard, turn the wheel, turn the wheel. The bar is 20 yards from where you started. Sir, yes, sir, you're at the bar, sir.
Have your rum for yourself and see you later, maybe.
Can we normalize convention bosuns from here on in?
You have arrived at the bar. It was 20 yards from where you started, but somehow faintly hidden by a closed glass door.
So we approach the bar and ask the barman if Starfall is anywhere to be seen.
It's not hard to find Starfall. Starfall is a gloriously tall, celestial-looking lady, dressed all in flowing white, long, luscious, glowing locks about her, and indeed a crowd of people gathered around her in a very sort of, "You're going to win it, dear. You're going to win it. This is your year. You're going to take the golden key." Like, there's a lot of buzz around Starfall's table. Starfall is one of the very few people who is not already hitting the hard booze. Starfall has opened with a ginger ale.
And what about the other fella? Courage.
Courage, you can see Courage. Courage has chosen a much deeper, much darker corner. You sense there's perhaps no love lost between Starfall and Courage. In a much deeper, dark corner, you see an elf with very nice boots that she's kind of quite luxuriously put up on the table in a slightly kind of, yes, observe my threads way. And the group around Courage are a little bit more muted, but also kind of with a slight aura of, "We don't need to do this. You're going to win, dear. We just know. We know you're going to win. It's fine." Vibes.
Do either of them look like a murderer?
Roll me wisdom perception.
It's a 20.
A moment of divine revelation comes upon you, Mary Berry, as though your god is speaking directly to you. And this moment of divine revelation, what you realise is that you can never tell. Like, appearances are just a social construct, aren't they? In fact, so much is just a social construct. Race, class, gender, what does it all mean when you dig down into it? And why must we judge people by these superficial, constructed social ideals?
Mary Berry would like to rebuke her god slightly and say, blood under fingernails, possibly? Maybe we could go a little bit Knives Out here. Maybe there's like a little drop of blood on a shoelace or something. Spoilers, sorry.
You cannot see a drop of blood on anyone's shoelace. You do realise that if the note that Kimia found invited Pearl, Patina upon Pearl, to traps at midnight, and is now 11 a.m., if the murderer was in this bar, they've probably had time to do some laundry, or at the very least put on some new clothes.
So they won't have brought their very rusty axe with them or anything like that, possibly.
No, they are both noticeably unarmed, regrettably.
Disappointing.
I've had a brilliant idea, but I need 2 gold pieces from somebody.
Tumbleweed moment.
It's a really good idea, I promise. 1.5 gold pieces.
Would that
Half
be
a
a
gold
slightly
piece?
less good idea?
What about a free idea?
I'll use my own money then, but I don't have much. I would like to find the dodgiest, creepiest looking person in this bar and ask them who I can get to do a murder for me.
Okay. I'm going to roll a d20 for a wisdom perception check for you, Count Nosferatu. If you have any pluses in your wisdom box or your perception box, let me know. Oh.
Yeah, I've got a bonus of 0 and a saving throw of 0.
Well, it's a good thing that I rolled an 18.
Oh, good.
The dodgiest person in this bar, you don't see them before you smell them. Sat in a corner is a person with a distinct aroma of kind of citrus. And as you approach, it becomes apparent the reason this person has the distinct aroma of citrus is because the flesh is decidedly falling off their zombified form. And they're kind of sat in a dark corner with a giant pile of leaflets in front of them that no one seems to be taking. And as you approach, they go, "Emancipation for the undead! Emancipation for the zombies!"
I'm going to take a leaflet as a fellow undead, and I'm going to pretend as hard as I possibly can that I care.
Tears don't dwell in this person's eye because their tear ducts withered a long time ago, but you see a thin trickle of blood in their left eyelid that might be the nearest they can manage. So go, "Are you interested in the cause, sir? Are you interested in the emancipation of the zombie horde?"
I am, and I know someone that if they were just a little bit deader, they'd be a brilliant. They would help your cause out so much. But I do need them to be killed.
Have they consented to being killed and turned into the undead, sir? We are big on consent in the zombie community at this time.
Absolutely, 100%. And it didn't even require hypnotism or anything.
I do need to have a direct one-to-one interview with the soon-to-be deceased before they can join the union, sir. Who is this person, and what capacity do you have? Do you have power of attorney for them? I do need to have a conversation about capacity, sir, before they can join the undead union.
It's the big man with 6 insectile legs over there.
What, the elf? Courage?
No, the wizard. The wizardy one.
The wizardy with the deer hat and the nose.
Yeah, I just need to know who would help me arrange for him to be a bit less alive, if that was when he signed the consent form.
I don't want to pass judgment on your friend, sir, but I think that they might already be on a bit of a path without our assistance. I feel like natural causes might take hold without needing to employ a contractor, sir.
It's time sensitive, very time sensitive. Can you do mesmerism on a zombie? Because I'm going to go for it.
I very much doubt it. I'm going to let you try.
I'm pretty sure you can't charm. No, it's not important.
No, I don't know. So, tell me about your mesmeric powers.
I'm sure I have them.
I'm just going to check.
Oh no, that's for I can do wail from the grave, which bring others close to death allows me to channel necromantic energy. It's actually for a sneak attack, but I reckon I could do something with that necromantic energy.
that might make them stronger. I'm not going to lie. You might accidentally heal the union rep in front of you. I'm just going to roll charisma persuasion again. If you have any ticks in that box.
Yeah. Still nothing and nothing. It's not gonna.
Oh no, not very persuasive. Yeah, the union rep just looks and
Perception, I've got +4.
Ooh.
And persuasion, I've got +3. I was looking in the wrong thing.
Okay. Well, in that case, with this roll, you are going to get a long, dubious look, followed by, Sir, are you asking if there is someone here who I would recommend to accelerate the deceased process and union membership of your colleague over there?
Yes.
Off track.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, sir. The Guild of Zombies and the Emancipated Dead takes quite a grim look on accelerating a natural process. We quite like it when people turn up with a certain amount of decomposition of their own choosing. We quite like it when they turn up having had quite a happy and fulfilled life, so that we don't have to deal with their baggage in the next stage. But I was going to say to you, sir, that if you were looking for someone to kill a friend of yours, you could maybe try the Guild of Artificers. They get very stroppy with a grudge if you don't pay an invoice. You could maybe try some of these dungeon designers. They're quite savage with each other. They look like they do a murder. But other than that, I don't think this is really the place to be hiring, sir, for that kind of work. Do you think that's appropriate, sir, at a convention? At a convention, even a convention with an award ceremony. Do you think that's really appropriate, sir?
I'm just going to say thank you, take a leaflet, go back and give it to Stave. I think give him a little pat on the back and say that I've found out nothing.
While this has been going on, Kimya has been sort of rifling behind the bar as discreetly as possible, and has come up with a bowl of olives and a little knife at lemon slices. She's going to sit down. She's going to sit down next to Starfall, put an olive in front of Starfall, and then neatly bisect it with the knife, and say, "Look familiar?"
I think everyone has inspiration, but especially now, inspiration for everyone. Starfall stares at the olive, stares at you, Kimya, stares at the olive, and then looks up and says, "Is it a metaphor?"
Not so much. Where were you at midnight last night? And consider your answer carefully.
I mean, that's quite a personal question, darling. That's quite personal. But if I had to recall, I'd say midnight last night, I was probably carousing at the bar in Witherknifes, as indeed most people of quality were.
All right, just checking. Will not beheading anybody or no?
Beheading anybody who might one ask has been beheaded?
I was hoping you could tell me. All right, it was Bettina upon what's her name?
Bettina has been beheaded. Is this a joke?
I wish it were. No, she's really been beheaded.
Oh,
she looks worse than that olive does at the moment.
Oh, I must admit, I'm horrified. I'm just Bettina. Who? I mean, I was going to ask who would do such a thing, but actually, there's plenty of people. But why? That's awful. I've quite gone off my ginger ale. Actually, that's disgusting. I'm appalled. I'm appalled.
Okay. Does she look appalled? Does she really look appalled?
Wisdom perception.
Wisdom perception 18.
She looks quite appalled. I mean, you get a feeling that appalled might be a generic state of being for her. Like, most things appall Starfall, late service, other people winning awards. It's all pretty appalling. But this seems a fairly solid vibe of being appalled.
Damn. I'm just going to eat the rest of the olives, I think.
Starfall is just watching you eat this olive in a kind of cannot fathom what you're doing sat here or what's happening. It's just like, I think I need to go I think I need to go somewhere else. I think I need to get some air. I'm shocked. I need to talk to someone. I'm going to need therapy. This is ghastly. And makes to go.
Mary Berry is going to subtly follow Starfall out.
Yep. Starfall does exactly what said. You don't even have to roll Dex Stealth because Starfall is so flustered. Does exactly what said on the cover. Pops outside through kind of the nearest fire exit door because all good agricultural convention centres have a fire exit door. Gets outside, glances around, and immediately starts pulling a roll of tobacco from a hidden pocket and just kind of anxiously rolling a little homemade cigarette. So you get the feeling that she is genuinely a bit flustered by all of this.
Well, it's good I didn't have to roll stealth because I have disadvantage.
Should we break
Mary,
courage?
sorry, go on.
Should we maybe have a go at courage with a different approach? I'm going to follow Mary Berry out of the bar, and then I'm going to cast the illusion spell Disguise Self on myself to make myself look like Bettina of Pompeo.
Nice. Do you have to roll for that, or does it just work?
I think it just works. Let me just check.
Also, does Mary see you put the illusion on, or does she not see you put the illusion on?
Or any of us.
Yeah,
this could get
because this could get very confusing for us very quickly.
I think normally there's a deception roll with various advantages when you're doing
I have to
magical
do my
disguise.
I have to do my saving throw, which is 14, which I make exactly.
Nice. Did your party see you cast Disguise Self?
Well, Mary Berry has just seen me. I'll just say, roll with it. This is just, it's just a trick.
Right. Mary Berry nods wisely and goes, "Oh my God, it's a dead person!" Very convincingly, I'm sure.
In a corner, the zombie union rep looks up and goes, Really? Do you want representation?
I walk back into the bar as Bettina stand over Courage's table and sort of point accusingly at him, just to see how he reacts.
How does Courage react?
What is Courage's gender, by the way? Not necessarily.
Courage is a female elf.
Sorry.
Okay, got it.
I've been very wobbly on the genders. Sorry. Courage. I mean, it's always disconcerting to have anyone walk into a bar at a convention, stride up to your table, and level an accusatory finger. Courage is distinctly perturbed. He goes, Patina, Pearl, can I do something for you?
Tell me why.
Why? What?
Never mind. I dropped the disguise.
Ah! Oh my God! You were. Oh, that was. Oh, are you one of the cosplayers? What was that?
Just go back to whatever you were doing.
Okay. Bit weird. Actually, I think a bit tasteless. Actually, I think because I don't know if you know, but Pattina's up for the same award I'm up for. That was actually, I think it was a bit crass. Whoever you are, what you just did, I think it was actually a bit. I don't know if that was cool. Actually, I think that was a bit tasteless. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do
you fancy
who
your
you are.
Do you fancy your chances in the award ceremony? You think you're in with a good shot?
I mean, immediately Courage picks up on this topic. I mean, I think that I would be presumptuous to assume everything. Obviously, a very strong field, very strong field, very strong competition. It's a privilege to be on the same list, obviously, as any of these people. I admire and respect their work deeply. I think one could say that Pearl's work, though traditional, is a little tradition doesn't change. That's what makes it tradition, isn't it? And Starfall, well, obviously it's about taste, isn't it? And Starfall seems to be of this new phase of dungeons where it's not about the traps and the monsters. It's about the story and all this pretentious stuff about narrative and tales of yearning and broken hearts and kingdoms divided and all this very strange stuff. By the way, your dwarf friend, it might be an illusion, seems to be turning into a cat. I think I've had a bit too much to drink. Sorry, it's 11 a.m. I've been going for a while, as you can tell. So how do I feel about my chances? I don't want to say, really. I'm sure the best designer will win.
Can I just whisper something to Mary Berry? Have you got your axes with you, Mary Berry?
Yes, I always have my axes with me.
Could you just show one of your axes to Courage and ask him if she thinks? Ask her, sorry. I've got Courage the Cowardly Dog in my head. Could you ask Courage if she thinks your axe would look good in lavender, so we can see her reaction?
What was the lavender haze again? It was Starfall's dungeon, wasn't it?
Yes.
So we should go to that dungeon, maybe.
Yes.
Well, you get the feeling it might be a dungeon that's being designed. It's probably not actually here. It's the next big project. You recall
the theoretical dungeon.
Yeah, like it's the next big thing that Starfall is working on.
Mary doesn't fully understand your instructions, Count Alucard von Nosferatu. So she gets her great axe out and goes, "What do you think?" and just holds it.
It's very nice. Did you find it in a dungeon? And was it one of mine?
No, but you should recognise what you've made. That's poor. That's very poor.
I mean, everyone's a critic, aren't they? It's easy to judge a thing when you don't do it. It's easy to sit there going, I quite enjoyed this dungeon, but I didn't think the loot was very good. It's fine. It's easy to be that person, isn't it? It's easy to be that person.
Are you angry, Courage? No. Angry enough to kill? How would you kill someone if you were angry?
I'm very. I take criticism well. I think everyone can see. I take it. I really. It's one of the things people say about me. My artificers give me notes, and I respond to them. I just. No. It's hard sometimes, isn't it? It's hard sometimes being a dungeon designer. It's just. I'm not angry. You said I was angry.
Mary puts her great axe away and gives Courage a slightly judgmental and pitying look.
I'm just wondering if the Lavender Axe was Starfall's dungeon, why Bettina was going to meet somebody to find out details of that dungeon, and maybe there's some industrial espionage going on here. And that if I was Starfall and I thought somebody was stealing my dungeon, I might be quite angry.
Did Starfall have a bunch of hangers-on with her?
Yep.
Did any of them... Here? Sorry, go on.
Are they still here?
No. Well, Kimmy is eating olives with them right now, I'm pretty sure. Or was.
I gave up on the olives after I put on the disguise. But did they leave with her, or are they still here, the hangers-on?
They're still here. It takes more than your chosen dungeon designer storming out of the room for people to leave the bar.
I have an infallible idea how we can find out which of these two is the murderer.
Go on, Steve.
As the murder was committed, to win this key award, we simply have to wait until the murderer kills the second one, and then whoever left must be the murderer.
But we don't want two murders to happen, do we, Stave?
Do we not?
No.
It seems the most efficient way of working out who the winner is. And
it's
the
a
murderer.
lot less work. It's a lot less work that way.
I mean, no, of course we do not. We humans care about these things.
Well, I also am not human. I don't know what humans care about. Is anyone here human? Are you meant to be human?
I was. But
I have a certificate.
Let's see it then. Let's see the certificate. For all we know, you're the murderer.
I will pull out a badly handwritten piece of paper assuring you that Stave is in fact human, spelt slightly wrong.
Stave, roll me Dex sleight of hand to see how good the certificate is. Mary Berry, roll me wisdom perception to see whether you see through it. It is a contested roll.
She can see that he's a cockroach, though, right? She could see that.
And yet somehow she's ended asking for his certificate. Who knows how we got into this place?
I mean, it's a 13 good certificate, so...
I got a 3.
That's a good certificate. Mary Berry.
I mean, it's a 6 overall. 6, 7, 8, 8. But still.
Mary Berry.
Given what your gods have told you about accepting people, I think that you really should do.
Well, my gods are biased, but I suppose I must trust in what they believe. If you say you're human, Stave, I accept that you are human. Mandibles and all.
Do not be fooled by this skin condition.
I've got a +7 for stealth. I'd quite like to go through the pockets of What's-Her-Face's hangers-on and see if they have anything fun. This is nothing to do with the investigation, but...
Do you want to go through Courage's pockets, or the pockets of Courage's followers, or the pockets of Starfall's followers?
Starfall's followers, please.
Okay. I'm just going to roll that. I rolled a d20 for you. It was a 6, but +7, so that's 13. Okay. You're not going to get, they're all quite tightly bunched. You'd have to do quite a lot of wiggling to get amongst them. But there's a couple of people on the outside who you're all right sidling stealthily up to and just dipping a hand. You don't get much. From one, you get kind of your standard snotty tissue, and a flyer from a panel they went to where someone was trying to promote the location of next year's Dungeon Con, and all of that jazz. From the other, you get a pamphlet entitled The Lavender Axe. This has clearly been written by Starfall's team and is about the Lavender Axe, Starfall's next glorious, glamorous dungeon. And a lot of it's quite boring. A lot of it's technical details about, is it a ziggurat form and where the exit is going to be that takes you up to the place where you began, but that was 5 hours ago because you need to come out where you began because otherwise it's really annoying. But there's sort of the pitch as well, and the pitch kind of the rough gist of it is that dungeons have just become too prosaic. It's just sludge, kill, trap, bit of a chest at the end. And Starfall's vision for the future of the dungeon is none of this traps nonsense, none of this monster nonsense. It's about the experience of the past and the experience of the present and the experience of the emotional journey. It's about, the key word here is really about the yearning. A dungeon should be about yearning to be somewhere else, something more. It's about your inner emotional expression rather than this whole spike trap nonsense.
Well, Alucard is quite taken with that because that's the sort of dungeon con he probably thought he was coming to. And he wanders back to show it to the others because he doesn't really know much about. We don't really know much about dungeons. It's not our thing. You don't have dungeons at sea because you drown if you try and go in a dungeon at sea. It's not good. But does this look like it's threatening to other dungeon makers and people who make traps?
Before I answer that question, Stave, did I see a hand?
I was rather sneakily wondering if Alucard's highly honed senses detected the whiff of blood on any of the people whose pockets he was riffling through.
Do you want to see if your highly honed senses detect the whiff of blood?
Yeah, why not?
Did you say you've got plus something in perception?
Perception. Got +4.
Your finely honed noses do not detect noses. You only have one nose.
I have a necklace around of noses.
Your current active nose does not detect the whiff of blood. If anything, Starfall's followers are all quite nicely perfumed. Yeah. Again, if there was anything, it's been washed off or it is not relevant to these people.
Perhaps we should check, not Starfall, perhaps we should check Starfall's room, but also Pearl's room over in the knifey hotel.
With the knives.
With the knives, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go do that now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely stuff. You don't need to call for the bosun to guide you to Wither Knives. Everyone is staying at Wither Knives. It is the convention hotel. It's across the road. It's a bad hotel. You didn't even realise that Wither Knives did hotel rooms. You just thought it was a pub. But no, apparently they have hotel rooms above. Very sparsely decorated, very thin old carpets, and yet this is the place where people are staying. You may recall that the Health and Safety Officer Quorn has been with you right now and is perfectly happy to lead you to the room of Patina upon Pearl, with a cry of, "Of course, you must do your investigations thoroughly, albeit quickly, because we must solve this before the award ceremony," is a little bit more reluctant to just barge into the rooms of award nominees Courage or Starfall.
Would he be more confident if he knew the room was empty?
I mean, it is the principle of the thing. They are award nominees, but I suppose there has been a murder, so maybe given the rooms are empty, it feels a bit dirty. I cannot lie, but in the name of the dungeon, I suppose we must do what we must do.
And what about if Mary Berry gave him a gold piece?
That wouldn't work. I could knit him a hat.
Would it
What
help
kind
if
of-
you were very briefly and unnaturally well disposed towards us?
In order, I do not accept bribes. I am interested in the hat. Is it fireproof? And I do not know what you mean by being unnaturally well disposed. I am the pillar of courtesy and availability.
A blue hat.
Well, let's try the hat
Blue.
first.
Which blue?
What would you like?
I like dark blue, but like the dark blue, you don't look at it and think it's black. You know it's dusty. You know it's dark blue, but like
Oh,
nice
I know
dark
exactly what you mean. And Mary Berry gets out her little bag of her craft bag and pulls out a beautiful merino wool in a dark
merino
blue.
wool. Oh, that. I mean, I'm already quite hot, and that will make me more hot. But it is so soft. Roll me Dex sleight of hand. Let's see just how convincing the contents of this craft bag is, Mary Berry.
I don't have any pluses on this. All right. It's a 14. It's very good wool.
I dropped my dice. Makes it very tense. To just whether that's good enough. It's good enough. I must admit, I have always wanted something quite so soft and touchy. I tried to own a kitten once, but I kept on scolding it by my touch, and it ran away. And I was devastated, and actually it broke my heart. And this is one of the reasons I am a health and safety officer, to protect little kittens. But I don't want to talk about it. I will accept the hat. Whose room do you wish to inspect? All doors will be opened to you.
Where should we start?
I'm just really glad that sheep didn't die for nothing.
Well, shall we start with the
don't-
victim's room, as that's...
Patina's.
You don't have to kill. Never mind.
Have I been doing it wrong?
You've been doing it wrong, Ducky. You've been doing it wrong.
Oh dear. That's why the farm never worked.
Quorn opens the door to the room of Patina upon Pearl. It's quite sparsely filled. You sort of expected from an award-nominated dungeon designer for there to be quite nice luggage and you know, at the very least, a suitcase on wheels, like quite nice things. You expected there to be, you know, nice clothes laid out for an award ceremony kind of thing. But actually, it's a bit sparse. It's a bit tatty. There's just one slightly beaten up rucksack. You get the impression that the person who lived in this room was not travelling with a tuxedo, if that makes sense.
Should we search the rucksack, see what's in it?
Yep. Anyone who wants to do that, roll me intelligence investigation.
Natural 20.
Pardon, what was that?
Natural 20.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Anyone else? Or are you just going to roll on Kimia's
Well-
amazing skills?
I'm going to say 11, so
Mm-hmm.
Mary's happy for them to investigate the rucksack
Yeah,
without her
lovely.
assistance.
I've got a +1 in investigation, so I'll go for it
Nice.
as well.
And I rolled a 17 for you. Cool. You've all done, reasonably well. Stave, this is a room in which someone who had 2 arms and 2 legs inhabited. And they probably did things in here that were very human. And there's a rucksack. Nosferatu, the rucksack disappointingly does not smell of blood, which is a bit of a shame. As you kind of have a rummage in it, you find kind of nothing that exciting, really. You find, again, a couple of somewhat older invoices from various people demanding payment for services rendered to a dungeon. You find quite a lot of notes from kind of old members of the Artificers Guild complaining that, if they don't keep up payment, no one's going to be able to reset the traps and keep the gas chambers working in old dungeons that are starting to lose their popularity amongst adventurers. Like, you get the impression going through this stuff that Pearl's entire business model is getting a bit around the edges. A dungeon should last for at least 500 years to be considered a proper dungeon, and some of these have barely made it 75 and are starting to lose the appeal. Kimia, you find all of this. You also find a faint smell of citrus.
Oh,
Old zombie face. He smells of citrus.
yeah.
I'll point this out to the rest of the team. Can you smell this?
Citrus.
I don't really like the smell of citrus. Vampires are a bit like cats in that way.
I find it very repellent.
So we know that Bettina, they had contact with, what was the zombie's name?
The zombie's name was Melanie.
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 Melanie, the zombie union leader.
Right. And they smell lemony. So, do they have a room? Do they have a room at the hotel?
Yes, I believe that they do. I think all the zombies, they hired a dorm together because of the communal spirit.
Before we leave,
Oh, sorry.
does Kimia still have the note that says the lavender axe on it?
I do. Take a look.
Could you just check the handwriting on that against the handwriting on all of the bills, including the ones from the people that make the traps and the Artificers Guild, to see if it's similar to any of them?
Let's do it.
I'm not going to make you roll for that because I think your natural 20 is impressive. You have a quick look through all of the invoices. There's a lot of different handwritings and various levels of threat from all these invoices in the bag. None of them match the note going lavender axe, traps.
Okay.
Can
Shall
I
we go-
use my senses to sniff the note?
Yes, probably. I'm gonna just roll that dice for you again. Yes. Even with your pluses in perception, you have a sniff of the note. It doesn't really smell of anything remarkable. It doesn't smell citrusy. The bag smells a bit citrusy, but the note does not smell citrusy. It doesn't smell of blood either, despite the fact, obviously, it was found on a decapitated corpse. Clearly, the splatter missed it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no blood in this room either, is there? 'Cause that would have come up on Kimia's.
No blood.
Shall we go visit the zombie dorm?
Let's
Yeah.
go visit Starfall's room. Yeah.
Do you want to do Starfall first?
Okay.
By the way, do the exhibitors have like a dungeon each here at? Do the award nominees have a dungeon here at the convention?
They do not. Most of the people exhibiting kind of dungeon stuff are tradespeople, artificers, merchants. The designers' dungeons are being constructed elsewhere or are merely conceptual at this stage.
But if they're presumably as their award, they're kind of shortlisted, there will be somewhere you can go where you can learn something about the dungeons that they are being nominated for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
like
there
the
a
Chelsea
model
Flower
village
Show.
London?
There is going to be a 1 to 25 scale model available in the dining hall at the award ceremony, where you may observe not all the details of the dungeon, but kind of the main thrust and themes, because you don't want to give everything away.
But you can feel its narrative.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can get a real sense of the balance of deathly desperation mixed with narrative yearning that the dungeon may or may not contain.
Okay, should we go on?
Could I? How far apart are these rooms, by the way? Bettina's room and Pearl's room and Courage's room and all these rooms.
The convention designers have been quite thoughtful. Everyone has a room with a window, so no one can complain that they've not got as good a room as the other award nominees, but they're tactically far enough apart they might not run into each other in the corridors while very drunk.
So they're not they're not within 60 feet of each other or anything.
Is that radial or diameter?
My notes don't say. So I guess it doesn't matter.
They're not... Hold on. No, they are not within 60 feet of each other. With the spoons goes on a surprisingly long way. With the spoons, with the knives. What a step.
How many sets of lawyers can we get on?
Nothing happened.
I guess we should try Courage's room. We're clearly doing something wrong because we haven't had a fight yet. So, yeah.
I think we should do the zombies because I'm just thinking, who does the Lavender Axe threaten? And it threatens the livelihood. Well, can't say livelihood, can we? Of the zombies, the deathlyhood of the zombies, because it's going to put them out of business.
But the Lavender Axe is not. The dungeon does not belong to the dead person.
It employs them. It gives them
Horrifically, Count Alucard von Nosferatu, I think you've made a very good point. If the Lavender Haze is a dungeon that relies on yearning and feelings, it's not going to need many zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps we should go talk to Melanie again.
I think we should. I don't think we've established motive, but we've definitely established a connection. So we should go and ransack the dormitory just for the sake of it, I think.
Oh yeah, sure, why not?
Do you want to go to the zombies' dormitory?
Yes.
The dormitory.
The dormitory is at the very, very bottom of the building. It is well ventilated. That was their only request. No daylight is required, but lots of ventilation to cover the smell. As you approach, you realise it's not actually empty. You can hear, I'm going to call it singing, because some of the vocal cords are more decayed than others, but you can hear the sound of voices raised in song going, "The people's flag is deepest red. Informers are emancipated, still walking dead."
Is it, just before we enter, is it normal for zombies to smell of citrus? Because sea zombies, they just, they smell of seaweed. I've not come across many land ones.
I guess there are zombies that have let themselves go, and there are zombies that are still making an effort.
So raise the scarlet standard high, beneath its gaze we'll die and die. Do you want to knock on the door?
I think we ought to knock on the door before we get another chorus.
Thank you. The door is immediately, some might say belligerently, pulled back, and a zombie with most of their face still attached, but a certain gleaming of mandible more than you'd really be comfortable with, sticks his head out and goes, "Are you here for the meeting?"
We're here for Melanie.
You want to speak to our union leader? What business do you have with our union leader, Melanie?
We've all got flyers.
Welcome, brothers and dwarves and you person. Welcome to the cause. Welcome to the cause.
I am an ally.
Welcome, ally. We welcome all here, the dead and the eventually will be dead. I'm glad that you are putting the work in before it is a critical juncture and too late. Welcome to the cause. You are wafted in from everything smells of citrus. It's not just citrus, it's a very strong smell of perfumes, or kind of lavenders. Like every zombie here has clearly gone to an extreme level to mask the smell of decay that otherwise would waft over, in a way that you feel sort of undermines, to a certain extent, their individualist communist rhetoric. But is this the time?
Is Melanie there?
Yes, I think Melanie has finished at the bar, having not given out any leaflets, and as you enter, turns around and goes, "Oh, it's you. Calm down, brothers and sisters of the undead. This lot have mixed feelings about the afterlife. I feel that they were trying to dehumanise someone without their consent, which, as you know, is against Regulation 17B of the clause. What do you want?"
Do you know Bettina von Pearl?
I am familiar with Bettina. We have had a lot of grief with Bettina in the past. I'm not going to lie. Bettina feels that zombies are just there to be thrown at adventurers without any consideration for what that means to the workforce. We have had some union disputes with Bettina. Yes.
Can I ask Melanie whether she's looking forward to working in the Lavender Axe?
A look of, again, it's quite hard for a look of pure fury to pass across the face of someone whose muscles are now less than animated, but you sort of feel it happens. It goes, "We do not talk about the Lavender Axe. Starfall is one of these modernist designers who feels that a dungeon should be about the feelings rather than the adventure. Obviously, I feel Bettina took things a bit far with the whole they just want to kill zombies. That is very dehumanising, that is very dehumanising, just wanting to kill zombies. But at the same time, my members like employment. And well, if being stabbed is the only thing we can do, that's what we do. And Starfall was like, zombies are so outdated. So last year, coming in here with her new ideas, shaking things up with these radical notions. I'm not saying you have to kill a zombie. I'm saying that's but like a fight with a zombie, if some traditional ideas. My members quite enjoy it some of the time. We quite like ripping an adventure room through a meeting there is. I mean, we quite like the process, you know.
I'm gonna take out the note, the Lavender Axe note, and I'm gonna waft it in Melanie's face and say, "Have you seen this before?"
No. What is it?
It's a note that says Lavender Axe. Good God. No?
Do I care?
Oh, can I do something? I forgot that I could do this. Can I take the note and sense evil / fiends or undead within 60 feet? Like, is the note deady?
I was going to say,
yeah.
if they're within 60
surrounded
feet.
by undead.
Okay.
It's a bit like if I was at a room of pizza, I would know that there was a lot of pizza around me, but I would also know I was holding a pizza. So I should be able to differentiate the note from the other undead.
To logically expand on your metaphor, as you cast the spell, two things happen. Firstly, you are in the centre of the world's stickiest margarita. You are covered in the mozzarella goo of undead. There is so much undead around you. It's a miracle you can move. But the thing you're holding in your hand, it's no undead. It is like that one piece of rogue pineapple. It's touched by evil, but not by the undead.
By evil.
Oh, by evil?
Only in a generic, the crimes that people do kind of way. But not by the
so
undead.
not the energy of a fiend, for example.
Not the energy of a fiend, no.
Alas.
Can I ask my undead sister, Melanie, how she knew about the Lavender Axe? Because I presume this has been kept a bit under wraps, because I had to nick stuff. I won't tell her that bit.
I will not lie. We do, occasionally, like to keep an eye on what the leading designers are doing. We do keep an eye. And I mean, I will level with you sometimes. Sometimes you're out in a private space, just having a bit of a munch. I won't say on what, just having a bit of a munch down on some stuff. And well, people come outside and you hear things, don't you? You hear things, and well, we've heard some talking, and yeah, sometimes just you overhear things. That's the other tragedy about being a zombie. As you know, my undead brother, people they look at you and it's like they think you're dead.
I'm just going to give her a hug if she's okay with that. I'm going to get consent first, but I think she needs it.
Once again, if her tear ducts could work, you feel tears would flow. As it is, you just feel the sticky substance of ancient congealed blood and strange lymphatic liquids begin to roll in a slightly orangey line down one cheek. She goes, "Brother, I try to be strong. I try to be strong for the emancipated undead, but you know what it's like sometimes. It's like sometimes people look at you and they just think because you're dead you're worthless."
It's so true.
What is the relationship between the working dead humans and Courage, the other designer?
She stands back, wipes a gooey tear. I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna level with you because my brother here seems to be all right with you, whatever you are. I used to like Courage. I used to think Courage was all right, but actually, some of Courage's behaviour lately has left me a bit concerned. A bit concerned. I'm like, I don't want to talk, but like, I think with this prize thing that's been happening, this prize that's coming up, I don't know if Courage has been behaving the best. I don't know if Courage has been behaving particularly well, actually. Like, I mean, again, don't want to gossip, but I'm going to gossip. Last night, I was outside having some of my condiments. Let's not ask about what the condiments are. Let's not ask about what that was. But having some condiments, and I saw Courage having a right go at Patina, like a right go. And I did try to warn Patina. I was like, you got to keep an eye out for Courage. Courage is no good. I tried to warn Patina, like, but Patina just treats me like I'm nothing. Like I'm filth. I went to Patina after karaoke, and I was like, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. But no one ever listens, do they? I got a bad feeling about Courage, and like the thing with the lavender axe is it's so pretentious because everyone knows Courage, the bramble sword. This whole thing was their first real breakout dungeon, and they've carried that bramble sword they found in it ever since. Like, it's this whole symbol of what they do, and like Starfall's lavender axe was like a big dig. Like, it was a big dig. I think
There was a
think that's not
bramble
right.
sword in the bramble sword dungeon.
Well, obviously it wasn't called the Bramble Sword Dungeon when like they first went into it, but it was like the thing that famously got Courage into dungeons. Like Courage saw like, I'm going to be an adventurer, and they went into the dungeon and found the Bramble Sword. It was like, oh, you know what I can do? I can design my own dungeons and do this better. But always kept the Bramble Sword like as a symbol of like how they came from the grassroots. They weren't just like some dungeon without adventuring. They did the adventuring thing, and like the Lavender Axe felt really pretentious. It felt like a real mockery.
Have you ever seen
These designs can be savage.
Courage cut anything with the bramble sword?
No, but I imagine it'd be very easy to see that. Like, she's always carrying it. She never goes anywhere without the bramble sword, all the time.
It was Courage. It was Courage.
And the bramble sword may have been the weapon.
Yeah, because Courage was not carrying a weapon in the pub. In the bar, even.
Courage was like, no, you've got to be wrong. Courage would have had that sword everywhere. Courage always has that sword.
Courage did not have a sword with her.
Oh.
We should go find Courage.
We should go to Courage's room.
Yeah.
Well, brothers and sisters, I don't know what's happening here, but if anyone dies at the end of it, you've got my leaflet. We're very welcoming. We only charge 17.5% on dues. So come find us, or bring the body to us. We'll have that chat.
Excellent.
Just as we're leaving, I stop and turn around and say, just one more thing. Because someone needs to, and ask if they knew what Patina was working on next.
You're asking me? I don't think Patina was working on anything next. I think Patina was going broke. I think this was Patina's last big chance to really make it. Like, it was the golden key or bust. Like, I don't like, if you're going to design a dungeon where everyone gets the boots of Elvenkind at the end of it, and you just keep on having to give, what do you think's going to happen? I think Patina was in real trouble. It was win this award or go down.
Okay, I've done my Columbo, but I'm happy now.
Where would you like to go?
Courage's room.
Courage's room.
I have a question. What is the motive?
Yeah, Cubona. That's what I was thinking.
Because it seems as though the dead person was not in any way likely to be winning the Golden Key. I can think of many, many reasons that people may wish to kill Starfall, but not actually the dead person. Was the note delivered to the wrong dungeon designer, I wonder?
Possible, definitely. But we do know that Courage
They all
was
look
in an
very similar.
Courage was in an argument with Bettina, so there was some kind of dispute between them.
We should search Courage's room, but if I was going to fit someone up, I would definitely kill someone else with their weapon. But let's get the searching on.
Spoken from experience.
Well, I'm not in prison, am I?
Nice. So you're going to Courage's room?
Yes.
Cool. It is like all the other rooms in the Wither Knives. Korn, the fire safe and healthy officer, lets you in with a certain amount of, this feels very naughty, but I suppose it is necessary. Courage has done her best to kind of deck it out. There's kind of shirts across the bed, neatly laid out, ready to be worn, kind of silken shirts. There's kind of a golden mirror that's clearly been bought, like a little hand golden mirror that's been bought specially and kind of left on a counter. And at the end of the bed, there is a big travelling trunk, like proper, solid gold lock, like that kind of thing you want people to see you, prestige luggage, the kind of thing you want people to see you arrive with.
Just
Is the
before
truck
we
a mimic?
start. Oh.
Who would like to test this hypothesis? Would you like to test the hypothesis it's a mimic?
I just think all trunks are mimics.
I mean, it is a
assume.
dungeon designers convention. It seems quite reasonable it might be.
Roll me wisdom perception.
$16.
Probably not a mimic. You've in your long adventuring years, you've met a few mimics, and for all that they're good at mimicking things, there's the odd telltale sign to an extent. There's a certain squishy, spongy vibe around the edges. This is not giving you squishy.
It's probably not a mimic.
I promise this is not a fetish because I seem to be doing it a lot, and it's not that sort of dungeon con. But can I sniff that note again? And this time, can I see if I can smell tobacco?
Oh.
Yes, I'm gonna roll that. Just rolled a d20 for you. It was not a good roll. The note smells of a note. There is no smell of tobacco though.
Oh, okay. Just wondered. Carry on. The little grey cells were wearing. You see.
Anybody good at lockpicking?
Yes. As a thief, I think I have a good bonus for that. I think I have
I mean, I
+5.
could try and smash the trunk, but it might be more subtle if we lockpick it.
Shall I have a go?
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Roll me that dex sleight of hand.
15 + 5, 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get it open. Roll me a dex saving throw.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
9.
Oh,
With a smooth clunk, the lid comes up, and as it does, in true dungeon designer's form, a puff of green smoke just goes straight into your face, Kimia. And you are going to take... Oh, a dice is a d20. You are going to take 7 points of damage, I'm afraid. And also, because this has been designed by a proper dungeon designer, a part of your life flashes before your eyes. Because what's the point of a poison trap without the emotional content? What do you see?
I see 24 kindly old men with long grey and white beards, in white robes, who raised me from childhood, and then tried to sacrifice me on my 10th birthday to the fire god who they worshipped. They wanted a tiefling for that. I killed them all eventually. That's what I see.
Wow. Well, as that startlingly complicated vision fades from your sight, you manage to open the lid further, and it kind of as the vision vanishes from your vision. Vision vanishes from your vision? God, I'm a professional wordsmith. And inside, you observe a sword. It is made entirely of blackened, burnt wood, and yet somehow seems very resilient and quite shiny and metallic. The blade itself is twined with spikes of bramble, and the smell of blood clinging to it is overwhelming. And as you look down at this sword, which has to be indeed the fabled bramble sword, from behind you hear the click of the hotel door closing, and a voice going, "Oh, I probably should have hidden that a little bit better," as Courage enters the room.
She is a cowardly dog after all.
Would now be a good time to level an accusation.
Stay, it's all yours.
Yeah. I'm feeling admiration more than anything. I do like a good murder. It's practically my bread and butter when we're out on the sea.
I suppose if you're going to accuse, you might as well get on with it, on the understanding that none of you are leaving this room alive.
Why?
Because I'm going to... Are you amateurs? Are you amateurs? If I'm going to kill you, you should accept it. You should be quivering and...
Your weapon is over here and you're over there. How are you going to hit us with a bramble sword when the bramble sword is here?
I'm so much more than just my weapon. But please, let's do this properly. Level your accusation. I'll explain my Darcy plot and then I'll slaughter you all. Or I could just slaughter you all now. It's your call, really.
I want to know why.
Why? Why I killed Patina upon Pearl? That old hack. That old bankrupt who couldn't pay anything. It's very simple, darlings. He's trying to blackmail me. He's trying to blackmail me, of all people. He claimed that my dungeons were unbeatable. He claimed that my dungeons were just a pyramid scheme. You siphon adventurers in, you murder them with your unstoppable traps, you take their gold, and you use the gold to fund the maintenance of your dungeon. And of course that is what I do. Of course I do. I mean, it's the only sensible economic way to run a dungeon. But it's against dungeon designer rules. And if it had been found out that my dungeon was actually unbeatable, I would not have won the golden key. So of course he absolutely had to go. Absolutely had to go, because that key is mine. And my dungeons are going to be unbeatable. They kill people no matter what. I have this wonderful curse at the end of them, actually. It's called Courage's Reproach. You get to the end of the dungeon and you're cursed to go mad and just dance until you die. It's beautiful, but very much against the rules. So I had to do what I have to do. I'm a business person at the end of the day. I'm a business person. Any other questions before your
No, actually, that sounds brilliant.
I wish to change the target of my accusation. Now I think you did it.
I wish I could give inspiration again.
I have a question. What is the attack bonus and damage on the bramble sword? Just out of curiosity, since it's right there.
I have actually written this down. If you're about to pick it up, before you do, just roll me wisdom insight. Oh, wisdom.
Have we just lost Mike?
Oh,
Still here.
Okay.
it's still there. Yeah.
what
Somebody's
do you
thrown
want
a
me to
smoke bomb.
Roll me wisdom perception. Merry berry.
16.
It's hard to, you know a lot about swords. You know a lot about swords. You've seen a lot of swords. And though you wouldn't want to, simplify the beauty of the artificer's craft, you might suspect that this does 2d10 damage on hits.
I see.
But also, you have a terrible feeling that the brambles might bite into your palm for, if you had to loosely conceptualize it, maybe 1d4 every time you swung it.
Even though I've got armor on.
It is pretty magical, this sword.
I do knit a lot.
Roll charisma persuasion, and the person you're persuading is me.
I actually rolled a 16. What's my
I rolled a
pluses?
15. You have persuaded the gods You have
Yes!
persuaded the gods that Mary Berry's calloused knitting fingers would not take damage from the bramble sword. You feel the pleasure of the gods move within you.
This is brilliant. I'm assuming that I have the same attack bonus as my great axe because that seems
Yeah.
logical. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Do I want to attack?
Yeah.
Yes. I do want to attack. So I'm going to do that. Mary Berry's fed up of this terrible and convoluted murder motivation, and I hope in this turn she can also tell Courage that her murder plan is convoluted and that she really needs to get a good editor. And then, not you, Courage, because I think Courage would find it terribly offensive. And but she doesn't hit because she rolls a 3. So
Oh no!
yeah.
The sword swings past the end of Courage's, well, not nose, because Mary Berry's quite short, not to be shortest about it. The end of Courage's navel. Courage looks down and goes, "Pathetic critics." I'd like everyone to roll for initiative, please.
Huzzah.
Oh, that was a good roll. I could have done with that. 14.
Okay.
11.
Yeah.
I'll need you to do mine, Claire, because I haven't
Oh, yeah,
got
of course.
real
Kimia?
dice.
Do you want me to do yours, RJ?
Yeah, you can do. Unless it's rubbish, then I'll get Claire to do it.
It's a 13. So it's not
that's
too
quite
bad.
good.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Okay. Well, I hate to break the news that Courage is going first. That was 13, right? But what's your modifier? I think you're actually quite dexterous. Bump, dump, dump. So actually that's a 15. Oh no! Count, you are going first.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, an angry dungeon designer stands before you.
I'm gonna call the bosun.
I'm going to let you have that as a bonus action.
to come and assist us. And he stood before me, which is a bit of a problem because most of my skills involve stabbing people in the back.
You could stand behind Mary Berry and use her as cover.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna throw my dagger at him. Which has an attack bonus of 5.
Lovely stuff.
1d4 plus 3.
Okay. I've rolled a dice for you, and I can tell you that is a hit. D4 plus 3. Bump. And that has done 4 points of damage. Where roughly were you aiming for?
I was aiming for his eye.
Amazing. I feel that 4 points damage, it probably just kind of did a perfect scar across the cheek as it flew by.
I've just made him look rakish.
Just made him more powerful. Lovely. And as a bonus action, the bosun bursts in and goes, "Sir, yes, sir. How may I assist, sir?"
I'd like him to smack him over the head with his bosun's club.
Okay, let's see if that happens. Oh, wow. That does in fact happen. "Sir, yes, sir." What is the damage on the bosun's club? Yes. So I'm going to treat the bosun as though you've got a summon. Basically. It only does 1 point of damage. The bosun is a bit out of breath from all this running, so it goes boop, and then stands going, "Sir, yes, sir. Club delivered, sir." I'm going to say that's the end of your turn. It is Courage's turn. Courage is going to reach in their pocket, and also somewhat distressingly for you, Count, is also going to pull a whistle out, similar to the whistle you might use to summon a bosun.
A bosun off.
Wow.
Oh no, what have we done? And is going to put it to their lips. And from down the end of the corridor, you hear the pounding of heavy feet and a snuffling noise. And through the door bursts... It's sort of a giant, shaggy hyena. It's a hyena expanded to the size of a small pony, essentially. It's a Vorg. It's going to burst through the door, take one look around, go, "How, how, 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 how." And Count, as the person who just attacked, as the person who just threw a dagger, somewhat rakishly, at its master, is going to go for you. What is your armor
this is-
class?
It's not good. I don't know. Wouldn't the bosun be in the way of this?
The bosun's a
pain?
duck. NPCs get to duck. This is the rule.
Where
I've
would my
got
armor
14
class
here.
be?
It's the top
Have
of
you-
the page. I've got
yeah, I
it.
believe
It's
you.
14. I'm afraid that this is a hit. And
Ouch.
you are going to take... you are going to take 9 points of damage count.
Ow.
A giant, shaggy creature has attached itself to you. And that is the end of Courage's go. Mary.
Oh, it's me. Lovely. I am going to try and hit with the bramble sword again.
Go for
See
it.
how that goes. 13 plus 6 is 19. Does 19 hit?
That is a hit.
Excellent. All right. I need a
Nice.
D12. I don't know which one that is. Ah, it's this one. That's fine.
Bramble Sword is 2d10.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at my great axe. That's why. Which one's the D10?
Oh, that's the timeless question, isn't it?
This
I
one.
found it. Excellent. I've got it. Let's do it. That is a 6. And that is an 8. So, and I also, as a bonus action, because I couldn't do it before this, is cast Wrathful Smite for next turn. So,
Oh, tell me about Wrathful Smite.
okay. So, on my next turn, the next time I hit a creature with a melee weapon, during the spell's duration, your weapon flares with white-hot intensity and the attack deals an extra 1d6 fire damage. At the start of each of its turns until the spell ends, the target must make a Constitution saving throw, and on a failed save, it takes 1d6 fire damage.
That'll do it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to happen. Stave.
Well, so the problem Stave has is he's rubbish in combat. However,
That's so well disguised.
I am going to perform a much-needed act of distraction. I will tell Courage. But how will you keep us in this room when I'm in the corridor? Whereupon I will cast Misty Step and disappear in a puff of smoke and reappear behind him and the warg. And because it's a bonus action, I may as well also whack the ward with my wizard staff.
Nice. Courage is indeed disconcerted. Make me that attack roll against our Vorg.
May I claim, because I'm coming in from behind, advantage?
Yeah, go on.
I mean, I do almost no damage. It's not going to make a little difference. That is my best one is 15? Yes, 15.
That will hit.
I do a grand total of 6 points of damage. I'll whack him good with a
nothing.
stick.
Respectable.
The Vorg is surprised and then annoyed and a bit like.
And then
Um,
I will use my move action to run off down the corridor, shouting "Courage is a murderer" into the minds of everyone that my telepathy can reach.
Roll me a d20.
1.
One person opens their door.
Woohoo!
Lovely. Kimia.
Kimia is going to use the shatter spell. She's going to take a little glass bead out of her pocket at her belt and fling it between the warg and Courage, and it's going to send this huge shockwave through the room, and they both have to do Constitution saving throws.
How big is this shockwave?
It's a 10-meter radius, I think. 10-foot radius. 1 second.
How big is this
Nosferatu
room?
and Mary Berry.
Nah,
Level with me.
It's all right. You can attack Mary. She's got good constitution. She's up for this.
Because how big is the room? I can fling it past them, so it hits the shockwave hits them from behind.
It's a with a knives. It is not a big room.
Okay, if I can't attack them without attacking my friends,
I think
I'm gonna
Kimia would do it. I think Kimia would risk our lives.
Yeah, but if you go down, then she's probably going to go down too. So she's not going to
Mary
miss that.
Berry's not going down. She's not. She's just not going down. You're fine.
It's not looking good for me, but I just realised that I have an extra move.
I'm going to do a sleep spell instead. Sorry, but go ahead, RJ.
I've lost it now. It said I had an extra move for some reason. Can't find it.
You do have some bonus actions. I sort of took you summoning the bosun.
Oh, okay.
as
Yeah.
the completion of your go.
I'll just.
Was that
Sorry, I just need to add quickly that in the chat, Adrian has said we have 10 minutes, so we have 8 minutes now. So
I'm going to do a sleep spell. I'm going to do it at level 2. So that's going to be 7d8 worth of sleepiness, which I'm flinging at the warg and courage.
Roll it.
And it goes to the lowest IQ first, I think, is it?
Okay.
Oh no, is that me?
The lowest current hit points. Sorry. So it's 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 5 is 12 plus 7 is 19 plus 6 is 25 plus 6 is 31 plus 8 is 39. Does that knock the warg out?
It does knock the Vorg out. I'm gonna be again slightly mathsy at you second. Say you were 2 points away from taking them both out. So courage sways and the Vorg is like, and will be that way for a minute. Nosferatu, we swing back to you.
I take it that courage is a bit woozy as well.
I'm going to say that since it was so close to hitting, the courage is a little bit like...
and I'm extremely stealthy. So, and hurt, which I don't like, is not good, and that's not why I'm here. I'm going to do a runner. But I'm not, and I'm going to shout for everyone to cause a distraction, because I'm not actually running away as they think. I am going to get my brothers and sisters from the Undead Union and ask for their help, that this man has killed one of their people.
I am going to let that happen. It's going to take your entire action. That is all you're going to do for this turn. But yeah, that is now a thing that is underway. It is Courage's go next. I think, to be perfectly honest, that Courage is probably most miffed at the person who's been running down the corridor screaming, "Courage is a murderer." I think that seems like a likely situation. So what's Courage gonna do? I think Courage is going to... Let's have a look at that spell. Gonna try and hit you, Stave, with... Yeah, let's go for a Ray of Frost. Spell attack, blah 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 blah. It's 6 to hit.
My weakness, my cold-blooded metabolism.
What's your armor class?
My armor class is 16, actually. Good God.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. And by a whisker, this lance of pure icy fire just whisks past your head. I use the word head lightly. Whisks past the head, strikes the wall, leaving a massive blotch of ice on the wall, but does not, in fact, at this time, hit. And you hear this cry of... You hear a cry of, "It's all lies! It's all lies!" from the corridor behind you. And we move on to Mary.
I'm going to hit with the bramble sword again. Yeah.
The irony.
That is a 19 plus 6. So I'm going to assume that hits. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm going to grab that D10, and that's 8. And that is 8 plus... God, paladins are mad, aren't they? Let's see. That is plus 1d6 fire damage, which is a 5.
Wow.
And Courage is now on fire and will have to take a Constitution saving throw on their next turn. If they fail, they take another 1d6, and if they are successful, the spell ends.
I'm going to level with you. Courage is very, very, very badly hurt. Courage is there's a lot of blood on the outside, not the inside. And Courage is kind of on the floor gasping and not looking healthy. Stave.
I'm very carefully explaining the intricacies of the murder plot to the one person who had opened their door.
So it was blackmail, but there was also a competition, and this seems quite convoluted.
And the trap design was very inefficient.
Yes, it does. But also, why lure them to the trap? You could have just killed them in so many places. Maybe it was to cast suspicion. I don't know. It feels like the kind of thing you'd design if you just wanted to fill like a perfect 2-hour slot. I don't know.
I know, right?
Baffling. Do you want to take any bonus actions?
No.
Lovely. The person is confused and yet sort of awed. Kimia.
Kimia is now going to unshift the silliest weapon in the world, which is a pair of hook swords. And he's going to have a go at Courage with both of them. First attack is a miss. It's 3 + 5. Second attack is 15 + 5, 20.
That hits.
1d4 + 2.
Stop trying to eat my dice.
3.
Do you want to kill Courage?
No, I think I'm half demon, so I'm 1/32 demon technically. So yes.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I set Courage on fire. I was clear in my motivations.
Yeah.
Cool.
He might.
Is this-
I'm not here, Kat.
Is this describe how a paladin of justice and light meets eyes with someone who's 1/32 demon and reaches the conclusion that Courage must die? Tell me what goes down.
I am a paladin with an oath of vengeance, so the usual way.
I don't ask permission. I just go in. And swipe.
Courage dies, not nobly, not heroically. There is, of course, going to be one snag of this entire thing. You are now out of combat. It's going to be one snag, which is, of course, as the blood pours and the dust settles, you realise that the winner of this year's Golden Key is going to be Starfall, the radical new designer who believes in yearning and narrative and emotional content over zombies and traps. How that sits with this team, only you can say.
What about
and as you reassemble in the hotel room, call on the health safety officer. It's gone. With Courage dead, it's just poof. This is not a problem you need to deal with anymore.
Are we in time for the panel that says, "Is hard dungeon design dead?"
Absolutely. It's an 8 p.m. panel, that one. It's a real late into the evening one. As you reassemble in the room, Corn, the health and safety officer, kind of comes over and goes, Oh dear, this is going to reflect very badly on the organising committee. There will be many minutes taken in many meetings, but I suppose you had to do what you had to do. Well,
we have uncovered a health and safety issue.
I must admit you have. This is quite embarrassing for the Association of Dungeon Designers. But I suppose you'll want some kind of award. So next year, you may come to the convention for only 75% of ticket price. And you may go to the self-service buffet with the 3rd table, not the 5th. Will that satisfy you for your silence about this little affair?
We want gold.
I think that is above my pay grade.
I've just come back now with a horde of zombies after a very long and involved conversation about whether we really should interfere at this point. Wearing my brand new Zombie Trade Union shop steward vest to save the day.
And on that note, as blood seeps into the very thin carpet, not for the first time you suspect, and the halls of Wither Knives fills the triumphant cry of "The people will rise! The people will rise from their graves!" The camera pulls back on our brave adventurers who have saved the day on Dungeon Con. And that is the end of today's adventure.
Hooray.
Quick question. Quick question with the 30 seconds we have left. Adventure is obviously downtime occasionally. So, Kimia, what do you read for fun? What does Kimia read?
Kimia is currently reading a sweet little novella from PS Press called Last Night at the Stardome Lounge.
By
M.R. Carey.
Sounds like a good egg, that one. Mary Berry. What does Mary Berry read when not knitting?
Oddly enough, Mary Berry is apparently reading The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, or perhaps the sequel, The Oleander Sword. I really never know which one of those to promote. It doesn't seem like her usual reading, but that's what she's reading.
She's got a romantic streak as Mary Berry.
She loves Starfall's Dungeon. Absolutely her thing.
Nosferatu, what do you read when the ship is in port?
I'm reading the Bone Ships, and I'm just furious about it all the way through because this person clearly knew nothing about sailing. And I'm very, very angry with it, but it's by RJ Barker. The story's all right.
It sounds swashbuckling and nautical. And finally, Stave. What book does Stave turn in his mandibles of an evening?
Stave is going through a copy of Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky and making angry corrections with red pen.
Perfect. And with that image...
What does God read?
God reads Ithaca by Claire North and turns the pages going, well, at least it's narrated by a deity, but not very convincingly. Thank you. And on that note, thank you all, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.